Hi, I'm Susie. I'm an independent voter in the state of Florida, and I'd like to speak today about the economy. It is probably the biggest, most important thing that is on a lot of people's minds when they're getting ready to vote, and it will still be on their minds afterwards, whoever wins the election, because they're going to want to see some results. And each side will probably expect it to be worse if their side doesn't win, right? Um, so I want to say, first of all, I am living on Social Security. I am 72 years old. I've been retired now for 6.5 years, and my savings is dwindled, of course. There's not much left, but and what is left, I'm saving for emergency. I do have a home here that I expect to be able to stay in for a few years unless things get worse um, with inflation and all that. Now, one thing that's hit us really hard is insurance. So I've had to cut down my car insurance, and I don't like that idea. However, I don't drive much. I've cut down gas with my car and food. I'm still able to eat good, very well, better than a lot of people, I'm sure. I am careful about what I buy. I don't just go and pick out anything I feel like. I always compare prices. I have a budget. I'm very conservative in my home. I definitely feel the inflation. I know things have gone up, and a few things are up and down, like gas, but it's hard for me to say who I want to talk about first as far as their policies go. So bear with me if it's not the one you want to hear about, because I will get to both of them. As independent thinker and voter, I do consider everything. I try to hear everything. I really do make an effort to keep up with what's going on out there. Listening to both Trump and Kamala. So I will start with the average American, what will help them more quickly, I believe, and I that will be Kamala. The Trump's plan um, would be a more long-term plan, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain. Okay, Kamala, one of her things is first-time homeowners, um, which are often young families, of course, want to give them a $25,000 break in their down payment. Now, my understanding is that this will be for everybody. Um, they will have to pay it back, no interest, affordable payments. Some people maybe, I'm not sure, but there might be a program that some people are eligible for this without the payback. I think that was mentioned. Of course, nothing's for sure, but that was a proposal. I think it's a good idea. 25,000 will help a lot of people with their down payments, and they need that, and then they can have that much more in their pocket to buy furniture and everything else, whatever they need. Um, Childcare was another thing that she had a plan to help with a bigger tax credit for childcare, and most young families would appreciate that, and is something that could happen quickly uh, within the first year if these things could get passed through Congress and all. Um, Also, she is more, the Democrats have traditionally been more in support of the labor unions, um, want to raise the minimum wage and those kind of things. So those are the ordinary, average Americans, middle class people that would benefit quickly from a lot of these things. Now, Trump's plan is to put tariffs on imports. And you know that we get so many of our things from China and India and other countries, especially Asia. And to put tariffs now, I've heard Trump talk about 30%. I've heard him say maybe 20 or 10. I heard him say maybe 100%. And what everyone needs to realize is, first of all, the reason that we're importing so much is because we can get things cheaper, because their labor is very, very low and, probably unfair, but it does benefit us as far as buying goods cheaper. And manufacturing decided years ago that it was beneficial to them for their bottom line to import parts, because to make everything here, they have to pay a lot more money to the workers, and it's cheaper to import. Now, I know from my personal experience, um, when I was working years ago, this was in 2009, I was making $30 an hour, and my company decided to offshore my job and my whole department, and they asked me to stay on to train the lady from India. Gave me a $25,000 bonus to stay on 6 months to train her to do my job. Well, she came over, very sweet young lady, and she told me, of course, we got friendly. We were working side by side for 6 months. And she told me that she was going to make $5 a day, and I was making $30 an hour for the same job. So that can give you an idea of what we're talking about here, the difference, how much money America, corporate America saves by outsourcing labor and parts and all of that. So it's a big, big difference. And do you think that they're going to pay an extra 10, 20, 30, 100% even um, to ship their goods with these tariffs without adding? They're going to add that to the price. Of course. That's only, I mean, anybody with this much common sense knows that they're not just going to take a loss of 10, 20, 30% because they want to do business with us. They don't have to do that. They do business with everybody else in the world. They could drop us if they have to pay to do business with us like that. So it just doesn't make sense to me. The bottom line will come back to the as far as parts go, it's going to go back to the companies that manufacture here. They're going to have to raise the price of their U.S. product. You know already, things that are made in USA are more expensive than things imported, and it will just raise them more. Um, Also, the things that we buy directly, like clothing and household things that we buy directly from Amazon or wherever um, online, those things, the price will just go directly all of a sudden. They go up 10, 20, 30, or 100% because they have to pay that much more to ship them here with tariffs, tariffs is actually just a tax. Uh, it's what they're calling the import tax. So I don't think that will work at all. I don't understand. I mean, nobody's explained to me how that will work. It's just kind of like when Trump said Mexico will pay for the wall. Of course, Mexico didn't pay a penny for the wall. I mean, I knew that was going to happen because I lived right on the border of Mexico. I knew how Mexico operates a little bit because I was back and forth many times compared to the US, and I know they don't have that kind of money to give us for the wall. If they did, they wouldn't want to. Um, so that didn't happen. And um, Another thing that Trump, his idea, he said, is to basically force companies here to manufacture and to produce their own parts and everything for their products here rather than doing it overseas. And he wants to fine the companies that still do business, for their product to get their product out, that they're dependent on overseas companies. He wants to fine them, figuring that that would make more people make things in the U.S. Well, same thing. Yeah, if you fine them, either they're going to go out of business or they're going to start buying U.S. products for their parts and whatever. And also labor, they'll have to start paying people here to do the labor that they were getting so cheap overseas. And that's going to jack up the prices unbelievably because it's going to cost them so much more to put that product out there to the consumer, which is you or me. Um, so I don't understand how either one of those could work. Please, if you can understand that, explain it to me on the comments because I don't get it. To me, it just seems like it's going to just raise inflation incredibly. Okay, and I want to talk about, oh, okay, our national deficit and all that, right? So Trump inherited a balanced budget from Obama. Obama balanced the budget for the first time in I don't know how long or ever, and he he had to do a lot to do that. And Trump raised the deficit while during his time. Now, first, let me say this. He inherited the really good economy, okay? Um, as far as the national deficit goes, at least. There's always been inflation. Inflation's always been a fact. It did get worse than usual, but there's always been some inflation out there. Anyway, so Trump inherited a good economy, and he he raised the national debt because he spent so much and cut taxes for the big corporations, the richest people who were funding so much of our programs and all, and that helped to pay off the deficit and run things and all. So we got into this big mess with all these trillions and trillions and trillions. I don't know how many, 7 trillion, something, whatever. Um, where I do remember it going from 3 trillion up to 7 or 8 trillion or something like that. Um, anyway, he caused all that because of cutting taxes to the most wealthy and also not being able to pay. So, because we didn't have the funds available to pay down our deficit, instead it went up. Now, the other thing is COVID happened. And I don't believe we can blame COVID on Trump or anybody, I mean, maybe it came from the Chinese, there's evidence for that. But as far as our economy goes, I think a lot of it definitely came from the COVID lockdowns. Um, in different parts of the country, it was more strict, and a lot of people um, a lot of businesses closed up. A lot of small businesses had to close up, and businesses slowed down and everything. And you remember the shortages we had of toilet paper and other things because they just couldn't do business as usual. So COVID, I believe, is a major factor in hurting the economy and cutting taxes on the wealthy, the rich, the big corporations and all. Now, Kamala wants to raise taxes on them, but um, only on those that are making, I think it's $500 million or more. You could fact check that fact check that. I'm pretty sure that was the number, 500 million or more, that those people and companies she wants to raise taxes on. To me, that makes a lot of sense. She doesn't want to raise taxes on anybody else. Actually, she wants to give better tax credits, which I did, which means a reduction in taxes, and I did mention that a little bit earlier. So, those are my thoughts on the economy. Inflation hurts everybody. I see it at the grocery store. I don't go out as much as I would like to, maybe because it's expensive. Everybody's raised prices, and I do believe that a lot of that fault is on corporate America because they are greedy. They're getting, I don't know. When I was young, I remember working at Kmart and just getting into the business world and all, with different jobs. And it was the norm pretty much for 100% profit. You know, whatever something was charged, the company wants to get that much back, right? For profit. And now, I mean, corporate America is making way over 100% profit on everything they sell. You know, they've gotten very greedy. The executive salaries are just, unbelievable. I mean, they can't even spend that kind of money they're making. Um, so those are reasons that I don't believe that we can blame any administration completely. Um, it's not the administration, it's corporate America, it was COVID, and then even small businesses, they see everybody else jacking up the prices. Yes, their expenses are more, and they need to jack up theirs too. But some are more greedy than others. You know, some will raise. I think that when prices need to be raised, okay, 5%, 10%. Those are normal kind of price raises. But I know, like, some companies, many companies these days, when they decide to raise the price, all of a sudden it's up 25%. You know, that's too big of a raise for the consumer. Raise it like it used to be, 5 or 10%, maybe 15 if you really gotta, but try to keep it there. These things would help the ordinary average consumers like us. Even Kroger recently admitted that they were price gouging, and other companies are doing it too because they can. They can get away with it, and people will blame it on Biden. Biden has nothing to do with the price of groceries directly, nothing at all. I mean, you could say it's because of gas prices, but gas prices go up and down. They fluctuate according to supply and demand, and what's going on around the world. There's so many, many, many factors, and to blame it on Trump or Biden or any one person or one company doesn't make any sense to me. So I hope that you can digest all this. Hope you can be somewhat open minded. And I can understand the frustration, the anger at people that are having trouble paying their bills, that can't get insurance, and that can't eat the same as they used to, that can't go out as much as they used to, or can't go out at all, or just can't afford to do things that they had as lifetime goals. They have to put it off. They can't buy a house. There's so many reasons to be frustrated and angry, but don't blame where it's not meant to be blamed. So that's my take on the economy. Just ordinary, average senior citizen here who is a big picture thinker, and I do like to keep up with both sides, and I don't just listen to editorials. Um, I listen to speeches. I listen to Trump's speeches. I listen to Kamala's speeches, and I will read articles on things that interest me. And I do watch people on YouTube, but I don't watch people just giving their opinions. I like to see the facts, and I will fact check if I'm not sure about something. And forgive me because I can't remember every little detail of the numbers, the figures, but I've given you a pretty good idea that I believe could be considered factual. And, test me if you want, comment, please like me. And I'm going to probably talk a little bit more about a couple other issues before the election. I already did hit on abortion. I know I did that one. And look at my other videos. I have a lot of interesting things out there and some personal. Um, so thanks for watching. Subscribe.